For decades, America's global leadership has been built not just on its military might or economic strength, but on a carefully constructed network of alliances. Nowhere is this more critical today than in Asia. The continent is the engine of the global economy and the stage for the 21st century's great power competition. To maintain its influence, the United States cannot act alone. It needs partners who share its values and strategic interests. These alliances serve as a force multiplier, extending America's reach and reinforcing a rules-based international order that has fostered peace and prosperity since the end of the Cold War. The strategic map of Asia is complex and constantly shifting. On one side, you have the rising influence of an assertive China, which seeks to establish its own sphere of influence and rewrite the rules of international engagement. On the other, you have established American allies like Japan and South Korea, who depend on Washington for their security. In this intricate geopolitical game, a country like India has become the indispensable swing state. A strong partnership with New Delhi provides Washington with a democratic counterweight to Beijing. Losing this partnership would not just be a setback, it would fundamentally cripple America's ability to navigate the challenges of the Asian century. The relationship between the United States and India was not always the warm partnership we have come to expect. For much of the Cold War, the two democracies were estranged. India, a leader of the non-aligned movement, was wary of American power and often tilted toward the Soviet Union. Washington, in turn, viewed India with suspicion and focused its regional strategy on Pakistan. The real breakthrough came under President Bill Clinton, who saw India not as a Cold War relic, but as a rising democratic power. His historic visit to India in 2000 was a landmark event that began to thaw the icy relationship. He set aside old grievances and spoke of a new era of partnership based on shared democratic values. This momentum was accelerated by President George W. Bush, who made the boldest strategic bet of all. He championed the U.S.-India Civil Nuclear Agreement, a deal that effectively ended India's nuclear isolation and recognized it as a legitimate nuclear power. This was a monumental step, signaling that America was ready to invest in India as a major strategic partner for the long term. President Barack Obama continued this bipartisan tradition, declaring the U.S.-India relationship one of the defining partnerships of the 21st century. He deepened defense cooperation, expanded trade, and worked with India on global issues like climate change. Even during Donald Trump's first term, despite some friction over trade, the strategic alignment continued to grow, driven by a shared concern over China's expanding influence. The creation of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, institutionalized this cooperation. To understand India's role in the world, one must first appreciate its unique history and deep-seated principles. For decades after its independence in 1947, India pursued a policy of non-alignment. At the same time, India is the world's largest democracy, a vibrant and sometimes chaotic celebration of pluralism and free expression. This shared political DNA has always provided a natural bond with the United States. This foundation became increasingly important as India began its dramatic economic transformation in the 1990s. Shedding decades of socialist-inspired policy, India opened its markets, unleashed its private sector, and integrated itself into the global economy. This economic rise has given India new confidence and a greater capacity to project power. Its military is modernizing, its technological sector is world-class, and its diplomatic influence is growing across Asia and beyond. Yet, the old instinct for caution remains. New Delhi is keenly aware of the giant to its north, China. A tense border dispute and Beijing's growing assertiveness have made the need for strong international partnerships more urgent than ever. This reality has pushed India closer to the United States, as both countries share a fundamental interest in ensuring Asia is not dominated by a single authoritarian power. The year 2025 has marked a jarring and abrupt reversal in this carefully nurtured relationship. President Trump, in his second term, has returned to his America First instincts with a vengeance, and India has found itself unexpectedly in the crosshairs. The foundational logic that guided three previous presidents, that a strong India is a strategic asset for the United States, has been cast aside. The most visible and damaging of these new policies has been the imposition of steep, punitive tariffs on a wide range of Indian goods. Citing unfair trade practices, the Trump administration has levied a 25% tariff on everything from Indian software services to agricultural products, striking at the heart of India's export economy. These moves were made with little warning or diplomatic consultation. Making matters worse is the starkly different treatment afforded to India's historic rival, Pakistan. In a move that has bewildered and angered Indian officials, President Trump has simultaneously eased sanctions on Pakistan. President Trump's recent meeting with a delegation of Kashmiri separatists at the White House, framed as a dialogue on human rights, was seen in India as an egregious interference in its internal affairs. The reaction across India to the Trump administration's policy reversal has been one of shock, anger, and a powerful, resurgent sense of national pride. The feeling of betrayal is palpable. Indian newspapers and television channels, which once celebrated the deepening ties with America, are now filled with furious editorials and debates. What is most striking about the response is its unity. In a country known for its fractious and noisy political landscape, President Trump's actions have managed to forge a rare consensus. Calls for Atmanirbhar Bharat, or a self-reliant India, have gained new urgency. Grassroots campaigns calling for the boycott of American goods have begun to gain traction. Faced with an unreliable America, India is not standing still. New Delhi is actively and pragmatically exploring its strategic alternatives to ensure it is not left isolated. The most obvious beneficiary of this shift is Russia. With the United States now seen as an uncertain partner, India is doubling down on its relationship with Russia. More alarmingly for Washington, India is also being forced to reconsider its approach to China. Some voices in New Delhi are now arguing that if India cannot count on the United States as a counterweight, it may need to find a more stable accommodation with Beijing. Beyond the great powers, India is also accelerating its engagement with other middle powers like France, Japan, and Australia. The goal is to build a web of relationships that can provide economic and strategic stability. The unfolding crisis in United States-India relations offers a powerful and sobering lesson about the nature of global leadership. American power in the 21st century is fundamentally tied to its credibility as an ally. Should this relationship continue to fracture, the consequences will ripple across Asia. Other American allies will watch this unfold with growing anxiety, asking themselves, if Washington can turn on a partner as important as India, what does that mean for us? The gamble President Trump has taken on India is not just about tariffs or diplomatic snubs. It is a gamble on the very foundation of American foreign policy. If it fails, the United States will find itself in a weaker, more isolated position. The cost of inconsistency is a loss of influence that America can ill afford. The world does not wait for America to make up its mind, and the vision of a stable, democratic Asia will be much harder to achieve.